All right, Adeline, you are good to go.
All right, you want me to do the reading first? Yes? Yes. Members of the public wishing to participate in the meeting must use their full name for Zoom access. If full names are not used, people will not be allowed to participate in the discussion. The town reserves the right to remove any member of the public from the meeting who doesn't use a full name or acts inappropriately. As a preliminary matter, this is Athlyn Sweeney, interim chair. Permit me to confirm all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Sue?
Aye.
Veronica?
Here.
Amanda?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Thank you. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Jericho?
In attendance?
Anne?
Here.
Very good. I don't think we have any anticipated speakers on the agenda, so we will go past that. And we actually have a new updated version from Governor Baker of our remote meeting. So bear with me for just a second. On July 16th, 2022, Governor Baker signed into law an act relative to extending certain state of emergency accommodations, which among other things extends the expiration of the provisions pertaining to the open meeting law to March 31st, 2023. Specifically, this extension allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the public body physically present at the meeting location and to provide adequate alternative access to remote meetings. That does not make any new changes to open meeting law other than extending the expiration of the temporary provisions regarding remote meetings. And good evening, this is the open meeting for CHS. It's being conducted remotely pursuant to chapter 20. Oh, maybe I don't even have to read this part. Let's skip over that. So we can go to all supporting materials that have been provided. Members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I, the interim chair, notes otherwise. Meeting business and ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some of the ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. That is for Anne. Thank you. I, the chair, will introduce the speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone and computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote is taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Okay. Do I have somebody who wants to move to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Does somebody want to move to approve the minutes?
The approval approval is subject to vote.
Oh, thank you. I was going to move on. So let's take a vote. Sue?
Aye.
Amanda,
Aye.
Veronica,
Aye.
and Jennifer. Did you have a chance to look at those?
I did review them. Thank you. Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you for that reminder. And for those of you who are new, this is only my second time doing this, so I may need help from Jericho as we go. Thank you, Jericho. And do I have somebody who wants to move to approve the minutes?
So moved. So moved.
Thank
Yep.
you.
I
And-
second.
Thank you. And Sue?
Aye.
Amanda,
Aye.
Veronica,
Aye.
and Jennifer.
Aye.
Aye. All right, good. So we will move on to council business. So we have a few things to talk about. First, I wanted to open up the opportunity for Amanda and Jennifer just to introduce themselves. They are new to the committee, so we're excited to have you. Jennifer, if you'd like to say just a couple of words about yourself to the committee, that would be great.
Sure. I'm delighted to be here. We have been coming to Nantucket for many years and moved here full-time a year and a half ago, and excited to be of service. My husband Ted and I live in Squam, and I'm an executive coach and have a keen interest in health and the well-being of island residents.
Well, we're happy to have you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Amanda?
Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Wright. I have been coming to the island for over 50 years, but I've lived here for 3. I'm the clinical director at Fairwinds Nantucket's Counseling Center. And I'm really thrilled to be part of this committee and this community and be able to continue to help our community members.
Thank you. Welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to see you all.
The second thing under council business is, and it sounds like we don't actually have to do a vote. Jericho, would you like to say who has written into you from our last meeting?
So for last meeting, we had to identify a co-chair, and we also had to nominate 2 members to the contract review committee, which is the human services grant organization here at the town. We had 2 volunteers for that, and we had 2 slots, so that works out very nicely. Tara and Veronica both dove on that sword. So those are the 2 individuals who are going to be representing CHS on the contract review committee. Probably starting up in September is when we should be having member-focused activities get started. So that would be,
Thank you.
I think actually we would need to, now that I'm thinking about it, we would vote to accept their membership, but we don't have to vote between to determine who gets the particular slots. The second is the co-chair position, and then formally accepting Athlon as the chair, which would also need to be adopted by a vote now that I think about it for more than 50 seconds.
Oh, great. That's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, I when I was using vote there, I meant determine between the choices as opposed to ratify the choice that we have.
Okay, so they need to be ratified.
Yeah,
And each one of those, including CRC?
I would say yes, just to make this officially a decision of this particular board. There should be a vote attached to it.
And can we do a motion just to, oh, Sue, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just a quick question. I didn't catch who was vice chair.
Veronica nominated herself. I say nominate herself, but volunteer, I guess, is probably the right answer. Bear with me, this is only my second year of running this, so I'm also still figuring out how this stuff works. So I would say,
Second year.
yeah, and I would say we should adopt each. We would be like, does the council accept X for Y, and then vote, and then repeat for each particular position?
And do we need a motion to vote?
I would say yes. So
On each one or as a,
I would say
total?
and entertain a motion to vote on candidates, and that should cover everything.
okay, do I have a motion to vote on candidates?
So moved.
I have a second?
Move.
Great, thank you very much. So let's start with chair. So it's myself, Athlon Sweeney, for the chair. Do I have votes?
I think you can
Amanda's
just,
gonna start
you can just do by roll call at this.
by roll call. Okay, Amanda,
I guess move. Is that what I say?
or yeah, I,
Yeah, yes, I agree.
Jennifer,
Aye.
Veronica,
Aye.
Sue.
Aye.
Okay, so vote in unanimously. And Veronica as co-chair, Sue,
Aye.
Amanda.
Aye.
Jennifer,
Aye.
and Veronica, I'm assuming you're saying aye to yourself, so.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So unanimously,
And then you can probably have the vote for the 2 members of CRC as one vote.
together. So for members of CRC, both Veronica and Tara, Sue,
Aye, and with lots of gratitude.
lots of gratitude, Amanda,
I with lots of gratitude as well.
Jennifer,
Aye.
and I vote aye with, again, lots of gratitude. Thank you.
Okay.
The people who have gone through the CHS process or the CRC process are all the ones going, oh, thank you guys for volunteering for that.
I would add gratitude, but I don't even know what that is yet. So I'm still learning. I'm sure I'll add gratitude, just assuming that it's needed.
Just for clarity, we've been on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
We've not been on the committee. We're on the receiving end historically.
The
So
committee is very thorough and asks wonderful questions.
yes.
It was great.
So thank you so much. In honor of Tara not being here, I want to thank her, give her a lot of thanks for that. And Veronica, with you being here, thank you so much, because it's a commitment and it's an extremely important part of what the town does to make sure that those monies get to the right places so that the townspeople can get the services they need. So thank
And
you
I
so
will-
much.
I will accept guidance and any kind of help that is, I reach out for. I appreciate that in advance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've all had some experience, bar Jennifer, which Jennifer, we will give you a little more information at another time about CRC so that you know what it is. But yeah, we're grateful both of you stepped up. Thank you so much. So is that all the business we had? I think that takes care of everything.
Yep.
And then we can move on to the next agenda item, which is preparing for the invitation to have our media in to talk about the police section, or how do we call that?
I think we're going to, the court report, I think is the official term.
The court report. So I think for Amanda and for Jennifer, we should do a quick blurb on helping them understand why this has come up as an issue on Nantucket. Do you want to do that, Jericho? You want to do a
Absolutely. Basically, we had a call for ideas for what the council should do, I believe last winter. Was it really that long ago? Yeah, last winter. One of the things that was brought up is that there is a lot of discussion on the court report, which is the most read part of the newspaper. Basically, it's often pretrial arrest reports and that sort of thing that is has been in a variety of different cases potentially harmful for island individuals in terms of their continued employment and social acceptance. So as a bit more previous background, about 10 or 15 years ago, there was an effort to remove that from the paper. And I believe Jason Graziade, who's currently editor-in-chief at The Current, initially did not want to publish it and was sort of overruled. So it was brought up that this could be an additional project for the Council on Human Services. We kind of workshopped how to approach it for a little while, and we thought the best way to do it would be kind of a recorded and shared webinar type format where we would have a set of questions that we bring before all of the major stakeholders here, the police department, as well as the two major media outlets, and then additionally a variety of stuff about how, I think we were going to try and get community members, other people who've been affected by it, and kind of cover all of the angles on it and sort of start a dialogue up on that. I believe it was the April meeting. We had a list of the different questions, and we've gotten it out of the minutes. I pulled out those questions and kind of simplified and clarified. Athlon, did I forward the pulled out pictures to you? No? Okay. We'll send it out to everybody tomorrow so you can see exactly what the pictures are. What the questions are. You can add anything you'd like to these questions as long as you send back your comments directly to me. If more than 2 people are involved in an email chain on council business, it's a violation of open meeting law, and we don't really want to do that. What we're going to do now, I think, is just very briefly go over the concept. I'll pass that information out. You can reply back with your comments. I'll get a refined draft, email it out to people, and then by our next meeting, we should be able to accept or not accept these questions, which we would then forward to the media outlets, as well as probably the police, and maybe the clerks. We had a list of people to contact and involve in this.
Jericho, how many questions are there?
They basically break down into 5 large questions with some refined sub-questions.
So I'm wondering, since we have a few new people on, could you just read those? And then if we have do you have it there?
This is the thing that might be the problem since I'm doing this meeting from home. I think I have them in the AirDrive. So give me about a half second here.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Of course.
I mean, I've had discussions about this with other people, and I know one organization that would like to be part of this, just from what, some of their students have
We do
experienced.
have a list going, so if you want to say who that is, and we can make sure that they're on there. If they're not on there, we'll add them.
So Beth Hallett, the superintendent of the schools, and Sherry Lewis.
We were reaching out to the school resource officer as to try and double up on the police and the school presence.
But definitely Beth should be reached out to.
Oh yeah, no, I think
Cassie's great. Yeah.
I agree. And just so you know, Beth and I caught each other at a function, and I told her I was going to make her aware.
Thank you. Yeah.
When it was, because I know she would like to be there.
Okay, so here are the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sue.
Well, may I, Chair?
Yes. I feel like Mother May I. Yes, you may.
Did we have all the heads of school for the various private schools, Lighthouse School, New School?
No, we did not. So that might be interesting to make sure they're on the list. Can you add them, Jericho?
We'll have Anne's going to get it in the minutes, and then the intern's going to pull it out of the minutes.
Excellent. Thank you, intern. Right?
I know
Thank you.
She wanted to learn about public health, and she offered free labor. So
great.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
So I will very, very quickly run through the 3 major categories and a couple of the top line questions. The 3 categories are impact, as in what are the effects on the community itself. Moral, is this a good practice? Is this a bad practice? And then pragmatic, does it do anything? Does it reduce crime rates one way or the other? Does it have demonstrable harm that we can bring up about it? The questions for community benefits, what is the benefit to the public? How is it serving the community? Why are people going to court? Would it be better if someone is adjudicated? Is there a compromise position that we can come up with? For citizens, this was one where human services providers should be presenting the negative impacts that they've seen either personally or on a statistical level. The moral ones, what is the historical relationship to this? How does this map to pre-existing power structures? Where did it start? Why do we do it in this form? And what are the legal or practical ramifications about sharing this information from a information dispersal point of view? And then the final one is there other ways to inform the community of this practice? what mechanisms are in place in terms of collecting this information, verifying this information, and making sure that it's clear and concise. What is the benefit to the publisher? Why is the publisher pushing this forward? These sorts of things. That's basically it. And what I would imagine what we're going to do is we're going to boil this down likely to 5 large questions with plenty of space for both written and spoken responses. And, you know, obviously, once we email this out, if you have reformulations of these questions, or if you have additional questions you want to add, or if there's something that you have seen from your personal point of view or personal practice that you think is important to be in these questions, that'd be the kind of stuff to add to this this document when we ship it around.
Jericho, one of the things I didn't hear, which I thought was important, was have they ever considered changing their practices? If so, what else have they considered and why aren't they doing it? Or maybe they already have instituted a change, and what has that change been?
I think I have a couple of questions like that in
Okay.
the history of. So I think like one of the things we want to do is make sure that in answering the question, they're not avoiding any of the things that we think are important about it. So in the sub-question section on history, we should definitely incorporate that in. There's a couple of other sections about other communities, whether they that have done changes like this, and other approaches to disseminating this information.
And I think
Amanda?
one other thing to be mindful of is I know that with minors, their names are not identified, whether it's an article in the Inky on the front page or whether it's in the blotter. But there have been very significant identifications in articles that are totally inappropriate. That then leads the community to identify who the person is.
So may I clarify or just make sure we understand what you're saying? So though they're not using a specific name of a person, what happens is identifiable information is used, which allows the public, because we're so small, to identify who the individual is.
Yes.
And technically, that is a violation of law.
Mhm.
I'm just, but I mean.
Oh,
it's-
no.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
And also how much is when it affects a minor, how explicit do you get around details?
That's an
Yeah.
additional, or that's sort of an outside the box topic. Do we want to try to get to that? I guess my question is, do we want to try to stretch this outside of the box and talk about that as well? I'm just thinking about, do we want to be targeted about what we're trying to get them to do? I agree with you, Amanda, that may happen. I'm just wondering, where do we want to go with this? Because this has been something, Jericho.
I was just going to say that like these are all sort of sub questions on the practicality and logistics of it, like whether or not this is a good idea in theory. In practice, it has led to minors being identified through the details of a story, which has an outsized negative effect on them, especially in a community this small.
So that might be something, Amanda, you could bring up.
Okay. I mean, I like the way Jericho worded it because had nothing to do with water. This was a front page article.
Right.
Yeah, I think the topic is primarily the court report and its regularity and the focus that's placed on it, both by the publisher and by the public, but that it also includes a lot of media stuff that's basically the same thing, just on a different page.
Yeah.
And the other thing I don't think we said, just for an update for the committee, is when Jason switched from working at the Inky over to the Current, I think he had made a statement of some description stating he was not going to make the court report accessible through the Current. We don't know what happened, but now it has become accessible through there. So we were interested in how come that change happened.
And I think going back to, it'd also be interesting to see what other communities do, like Martha's Vineyard, which is a similar community as ours. Do they publicize all this stuff in their paper?
Any chance the intern would be interested in looking into that before the meeting?
Yeah, no, I think that we can probably manage that. That could be a good research project for her.
Okay.
Probably what I'll have her do is have her do the primary Googling, and then we'd go through it to get sort of abstract of what's gone on there.
Okay. Just trying to time manage. We said we were going to try to keep these meetings to 30 minutes. So I just want to give some time for the other agenda items. So if everybody's okay with this, please feel free to type in any additional thoughts and questions before our August meeting. We are likely shooting for September for the meeting with the media, so we have some time. Just
And
trying to get.
I'm sorry, Athlon, I did
That's
not mean
okay.
to
Go
talk
ahead.
over you.
It's okay.
We will send out these questions tomorrow so that you'll have some paper ahead of it. And you can then just reply back with red ink, and then I'll try and get a finished product out.
Very good. Thank you.
Ideally, depending, like, it shouldn't take me more than a week to do that. So we'll have plenty of time to think, discuss, and potentially distribute these questions well ahead of our meeting.
Great. Will you also send out who we've considered for invitations so that people can look at it and consider if there's somebody else?
I would, yes, we absolutely can do that. I would like for you guys to process and get it back to me before we share it outside of the council, which is really
That's
just a
fair.
fun,
Yes, thank you.
very fun phrase to say, outside the council.
Outside the council. Okay, so moving on to our next agenda item, update from Human Service Director.
Usually I do these starting with a COVID update. I think everyone knows there's a lot of it. I don't think there's any doubt at this point. You're good, Veronica. Yeah, thank you, Veronica. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
But so basically, there's a ton of it. This is probably no, I wouldn't say probably. This is absolutely the highest number of transmissions and highest number of instantaneously infected individuals on the island that we've had by a pretty wide margin. However, there's currently 0 primary COVID hospitalizations or medevacs. There's significant amounts of Paxlovid on the island for treatment options. And that's basically the best we can do, especially given the lack of appetite for any sort of more significant mitigation. Go ahead, Sue. Sorry.
Sue, go ahead.
I keep doing that like I'm the chair. Sorry.
My question is, how do you know about the rate? Is it the wastewater treatment? Because without the PCR test, it's hard to.
So I have about 4 different indicators. My primary indicator was clinical confirmation through PCR tests. We aren't doing that, but my other ones were canaries in a coal mine, isolation and quarantine calls, requests for rapid tests, and then outages at the daycare centers, which have been basically the primary proxy measure that I have. We did get a wastewater sample collected on Monday, I believe. The last one we had was showing 35 people per person per day. I've never liked that part of the algorithm because our absolute concentration is quite high. It's the second highest it's ever been. And there's a decent chance that there's an undercount of concentration due to the novelty of this variation. Basically, just the number of people being infected who haven't before, the number of calls for testing and support and isolation guidance is higher than I've ever had it. And I'm sure the rates of call are much lower because everyone's way more blasé about it.
Jared, may I ask a quick question about COVID? Just really have heard that now swabbing the throat. So if you just swab nasal, is that a myth?
There is unfortunately no good data that I found about efficacy rates of rapid tests. The symptomology of the Omicron strains has changed, especially in the 4s and the 5s. They're presenting different symptoms. They have different onset rates, different incubation periods, different symptomatic periods. Omicron is very close to a new virus. It's about on the border between COVID and something new. We know it goes through a lot of the immune protection like natural immunity. If you didn't get BA5 can infect you even if you've been infected very recently. But the negative tests results from an antigen test are increasingly accurate the more of them you do. You may get one false negative, but you should never be confirming or denying your COVID positivity status over a single rapid test anyway,
Good.
because of the range of time it takes for it to get to the infectious stage. So if you test according to like the way that you're supposed to, which is you get the two box and you do one in the night, one in the morning, and then you do another two night and morning. If you get negative on 4 of those, it's almost impossible for all 4 of them to be negative results. So sequential testing does improve the accuracy of it. There's no good evidence that rapid antigen tests are failing, but there's also no great evidence that they are as effective against the new variants as they are against the old ones.
Thank you.
Erica, can
Amanda.
I ask you one question? Do you
Mhm.
know with the rapid test or if they expire, are they still valid for X amount of months?
So the initial, they did not know how long the rapid antigen tests were going to make when they mass produced the lateral flow tests that came out around Christmas, the ones that were sent out and the ones that make up the bulk of them, the ones that are distributed here. They have subsequently pushed back the expiration date on all of them so that they're good for a year from manufacture. That said, when you take the test, there's the 2 bars. As long as the control line is forming, then you know the chemical process is working and it's still successful.
Right.
If you do the test and there's no control line, that test is bad and you need to do another one. What I'm guessing right now is most of the tests on the island were received in a couple of big bulk batches through state distributors. So we're looking at a whole bunch of them with posted expiration dates for the end of July that will be good at least until November. Then the next batch of them are good into next year.
Thank you.
Fairwinds has many, if anyone needs any.
Thanks, Amanda.
Additionally, the hospital's handing them out at the door, and we've distributed them to Athenaeum Community School Food Pantry, a couple other places.
Family Resource Center as well.
I have some substantial updates on the behavioral health initiative, but I'm going to hold those until next meeting. A couple of them are in play, and it would eat up a good 15 minutes of time that I don't think is particularly relevant for some of you.
Wonderful. Let's wait for the next time then. And can we move on?
One last thing, if any new members or existing members have any questions about anything about town business, email me. I'm happy to, if I don't know the answer, find it for you. And new members who want to get caught up on stuff, I'm in the old fire station. You can find me there basically whenever.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome
Jerica.
anytime, Jennifer.
Erica.
Moving on to other business, and I'm going to be super quick about this and then put it on the agenda for next time. I just want to throw it out there so people get thinking about it. I was thinking about and have been talking to a number of people about some kind of way for people who are unhoused, especially in the winter, but potentially even through the summer, to have a place to safely warm food. So I don't know if this would look like like that. Safely warm food, have a place that is, I personally have thought of an idea, and I can throw it out very quickly, similar to, I was like, wait, ATMs disperse money all the time. And we have ATMs. You put a card in, you go in, you get your money, you leave. Relatively safe. We figured out how to do this. So I was like, why can't we fashion something like that, that somebody has a card, they go in, maybe they have a card that goes to their locker, something along those lines. I've had multiple other ideas about partnerships and so on and so forth. But since we're at 6:05, I'm going to halt here. And I would love to talk about this again at our next meeting, but just wanted to plant a seed so all of you brilliant people can start having fireworks going off about it. That's it on that. Yes, Sue?
May I discuss, can I brainstorm with people not on the commission, on the council?
As long as that's not breaking any rules, absolutely 100%. I was
And-
just checking with Jericho. I didn't want to say yes until I knew for sure.
And there is, to my knowledge, the only time discussing information from inside the council is bad is if you have 2 or more council members discussing the matters before the council, or if we're like, we don't want to share it with everybody yet. I cannot imagine that particular, like talking about this outside of the group would have any problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Sue. I knew it would interest you.
Perfect. I know a few people who might want to
Get
share
on board.
ideas.
Great, that's fantastic. I don't think we have anybody from the public on, so I'm going to skip over public comment and we will adjourn. We're trying to keep this concise. So would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Move.
Second, thank you, Jennifer. So Sue made a motion, Jennifer second, and so we are finished.
Oh,
So adjourned.
by roll call.
By roll call. I just have to get used to that.
It's silly
Amanda.
because everyone's like, no, we're done, but you still got to vote for it, unfortunately.
Well, we don't have a quorum anymore. But that's
Oh, crap.
right. So that's why I wasn't.
Oh, no, you're good then. We're over.
We're
done.
over.
Very democracy in action, everybody.
There you go.
Democracy in action.
You guys, thank you so much for coming. As typical, I always think in the summer, we end up having less people. So it was huge for you guys to be here so we could get some of that done. So thank you so much. And we will get upcoming dates out for another meeting towards the end of August. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your summer days.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.